The 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is a classic and beloved coin in American numismatic history, representing the final years of the famous wheat cent design that circulated in the United States for half a century. Introduced originally in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln wheat penny was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical person, and by 1957 it had already become a familiar object in the pockets and purses of everyday Americans. The 1957 issue was struck during a time when the United States was experiencing post-war economic growth, rising consumer culture, and major technological progress, all of which make this coin a small but meaningful artifact of mid-20th century American life. The obverse of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny features the iconic right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, with the word liberty to the left, the motto "In God We Trust" along the top rim, and the date 1957 positioned to the right of Lincoln's bust. In this year, Philadelphia and Denver were the two primary mints producing the coin, with Philadelphia coins carrying no mint mark and Denver coins identified by a small d below the date. On the reverse side, the coin displays the classic wheat ears design, with two curved stalks framing the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, while the motto E pluribus unum appears across the top. This simple yet elegant design symbolized America's agricultural strength and stability, which is why it remained unchanged until 1958, when the reverse was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial. In terms of composition, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a rich reddish-brown color when new, although most surviving examples today range from brown to red-brown depending on how well they were preserved. The total mintage for the 1957 Philadelphia mint penny was approximately 1,051,342,000 coins, making it a very common issue, while the Denver Mint produced around 1,051,342,000 coins as well, ensuring that this penny was widely circulated across the country. Because of these high mintage numbers, the 1957 wheat penny is not considered rare, but it remains popular with collectors due to its historical significance and classic design. In circulated condition, a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark or with a D mint mark is generally worth only a few cents above face value, often ranging from 2 to 10 cents depending on wear. However, coins that are in uncirculated condition, especially those retaining strong original red color, can be worth significantly more. A well-preserved 1957 penny graded in mint state can range from a few dollars to over $10, and exceptional red examples with sharp details and minimal marks can fetch higher prices among serious collectors. Proof coins were also produced in 1957, struck at the Philadelphia Mint specifically for collectors, and these proof pennies are identifiable by their sharp details and mirror-like surfaces, with values that can range from several dollars to much higher depending on condition and color designation. Error coins from 1957 also attract attention, including off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks on Denver issues, and clipped planchets, all of which can increase the coin's value substantially depending on the severity and visibility of the error. The appeal of the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny is not just about money, though, but about the story it tells. This coin circulated during a time when America was entering the space race, popular music was evolving, and everyday life was changing rapidly, yet people still used simple copper pennies for basic transactions. For many collectors, finding a 1957 wheat penny in pocket change or an old coin jar sparks curiosity and nostalgia, serving as a gateway into the wider world of coin collecting. It also represents the end of an era, as the wheat penny design would be retired just 1 year later in 1958, making 1957 one of the final opportunities for Americans to use this historic design in daily commerce. Today, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny continues to be collected by beginners and experienced numismatists alike, appreciated for its affordability, historical context, and timeless design. Whether found worn from circulation or preserved in brilliant condition, this humble 1-cent coin stands as a reminder of America's past and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln on U.S. coinage. Next coin. The 1936 Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny is more than just a small copper coin. It is a silent witness to American history, a symbol of national pride, and a piece of everyday money that once passed through the hands of millions during one of the most important decades in the United States. When people talk about the liberty of America, this coin represents that idea in a very real and physical way, because it carries the image of Abraham Lincoln, a president who stood for unity, freedom, and democracy. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Before this, American coins rarely showed real people, especially presidents. The decision to place Lincoln's portrait on the 1-cent coin marked a major change in U.S. coin design. By 1936, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 3 decades, and it had become one of the most familiar coins in American daily life. The year 1936 falls right in the middle of the Great Depression era. Although the worst years of the Depression had passed, life was still difficult for many Americans. Jobs were scarce, wages were low, and every cent truly mattered. A single penny could buy small items like candy, a newspaper, or help add up to a loaf of bread. The Lincoln wheat penny of 1936 was not just pocket change, it was a tool of survival for many families. On the front of the coin, we see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The design was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's expression is calm and thoughtful, reflecting strength, wisdom, and determination. Around the portrait, the word liberty appears on the left side, symbolizing the core values of the United States. On the right side is the date, 1936, marking the year this coin entered circulation. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust," a national motto that reflects the faith and moral foundation of the country. The back of the coin features the famous wheat ears design, which is why collectors call it the wheat penny. 2 wheat stalks curve along the left and right edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top of the reverse side is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many one. This phrase perfectly matches the spirit of the United States, a nation built from many people, cultures, and backgrounds coming together as one. The wheat ears themselves carry deep meaning. Wheat represents growth, agriculture, and prosperity. During the 1930s, farming was still a major part of American life, and many people depended directly on the land to survive. The wheat design reminded citizens of the importance of hard work, food production, and self-reliance. In a time of economic hardship, this message was especially powerful. The 1936 Lincoln wheat penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark, while Denver coins have a small D, and San Francisco coins have an S below the date. Millions of these pennies were produced, making them common in circulation at the time. However, over the decades, many have been lost, damaged, or melted down, which has increased interest among collectors today. The coin is made primarily of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc. This gave the penny its warm reddish-brown color when new. Over time, exposure to air and handling caused many coins to darken, creating the brown or chocolate tones often seen on older wheat pennies. Well-preserved examples that still show red or reddish-brown color are especially admired by collectors. For collectors, the 1936 Lincoln wheat penny is appealing not because it is extremely rare, but because it represents a classic era of American coinage. It connects people to a time when coins were used daily and carried strong national symbolism. Collectors often search for examples with clear details, sharp lettering, and minimal wear, especially on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. Beyond its collectible value, this coin holds historical importance. It circulated during the presidency of Franklin D. Roosevelt, a time when the U.S. government introduced major reforms to rebuild the economy. Programs like the New Deal helped provide jobs and restore confidence in the nation. The 1936 penny moved through this changing America, witnessing recovery, resilience, and hope. The phrase "Liberty of America" fits perfectly with the 1936 Lincoln cent because Abraham Lincoln is one of the strongest symbols of American liberty. He led the nation through the Civil War and played a key role in ending slavery. His image on the penny reminded citizens, even during hard times, of freedom, equality, and the promise of a united nation. Today, holding a 1936 Lincoln wheat penny is like holding a small piece of American history. It tells a story of struggle and strength, of everyday people using simple coins to build their lives. It reminds us that even the smallest denomination can carry great meaning. For coin collectors, history lovers, and anyone fascinated by the past, this penny is a timeless reminder of where America has been and the values it continues to stand for. Next coin. The Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny dated 1955 with the D mint mark is one of those coins that quietly carries the weight of American history in the palm of your hand. At first glance, it may look like a simple copper penny, something many people once used every day without a second thought. But behind this small coin is a story of war recovery, economic growth, design tradition, and the everyday life of Americans in the mid-20th century. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This was a historic move because it marked the first time a real person appeared on a regularly circulating U.S. coin. Prior to this, American coins featured symbolic figures like liberty. The decision to place Lincoln on the penny reflected how deeply respected he was as a national symbol of unity, freedom, and perseverance. By 1955, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly half a century. The obverse of the coin still carried the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner. Lincoln is shown facing to the right, with a calm and thoughtful expression that represents strength and dignity. Above his head is the word liberty, symbolizing the core values of the United States. To the right of his portrait appears the date 1955, and just below it is the small D mint mark, indicating that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint played a major role in producing coins for circulation across the western United States. In 1955, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents to meet the demands of a growing population and a booming economy. America in the mid-1950s was experiencing rapid expansion after World War II. Factories were running at full speed, new homes were being built, and consumer spending was rising. Coins like the 1955 D Lincoln cent were essential for daily transactions, from buying groceries to paying for public transportation. On the reverse side of the coin, the classic wheat ears design is displayed, which is why this coin is commonly known as the wheat penny. Two stylized wheat stalks curve upward along the left and right edges, framing the words 1 cent in the center. Above it is the inscription United States of America, and just below the rim at the top appears the national motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. The wheat ears symbolize agricultural prosperity, hard work, and abundance, reflecting America's roots as a farming nation. The wheat penny design was used from 1909 until 1958, making the 1955 D one of the later issues before the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. Because of this, the 1955 D wheat penny represents the closing chapter of a long and iconic era in American coinage. It stands at the crossroads between traditional design and modern symbolism. The composition of the 1955 D Lincoln cent is also significant. It is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This high copper content gives the coin its rich reddish-brown color when new, and over time it can develop deeper brown tones or even colorful natural toning. Many collectors appreciate wheat pennies not just for their history, but also for their warm, classic appearance that modern coins no longer have. In terms of historical context, 1955 was a fascinating year in American history. The country was firmly in the Cold War era, balancing global tensions with the Soviet Union while enjoying economic prosperity at home. It was also the year when civil rights movements began gaining stronger momentum, shaping the future of American society. While major events unfolded on the world stage, small coins like the 1955 D penny quietly circulated through millions of hands, witnessing everyday life in diners, schools, factories, and homes. Although the 1955 D Lincoln wheat penny is not considered extremely rare, it remains an important and desirable coin for collectors, especially those building complete sets of wheat pennies. Its value depends heavily on condition. Coins that have been heavily circulated often show wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jaw, as well as softer details on the wheat ears. However, examples that survived with minimal wear or in uncirculated condition can be far more appealing and valuable to collectors. One reason wheat pennies like the 1955 D are so popular is because they are accessible. They allow new collectors to hold a genuine piece of history without needing a large budget. For many people, discovering a wheat penny sparks a lifelong interest in coin collecting. It becomes a gateway into learning about history, economics, and art through coinage. Another interesting aspect of the 1955 D Lincoln cent is how it reflects the craftsmanship of mid-century U.S. mint operations. Each coin was struck using hardened steel dies, and despite the massive production numbers, many examples still show sharp details and strong strikes. This speaks to the quality standards maintained by the U.S. Mint during that era. Today, the 1955 D Lincoln wheat penny serves as a reminder of a simpler time, when a single cent had more purchasing power and played a more visible role in everyday commerce. It represents an America that was confident, growing, and looking toward the future, while still honoring its past through figures like Abraham Lincoln. For collectors, historians, and casual enthusiasts alike, this coin is more than just copper and metal. It is a small time capsule from 1955, carrying stories of post-war optimism, agricultural heritage, and the enduring legacy of one of America's greatest leaders. Holding a 1955 D Lincoln wheat penny is like holding a quiet witness to history, a coin that has traveled through decades while preserving the values and spirit of the nation that created it. Next coin. The Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny dated 1949 with the S mint mark is a small copper coin, but it carries a big story from post-World War II America. This coin comes from a period when the United States was rebuilding, redefining its global role, and returning to everyday life after years of sacrifice. Every 1949 S wheat penny is a quiet witness to that moment in history when hope, hard work, and patriotism shaped the nation. The Lincoln wheat penny design was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure. Victor David Brenner designed the coin, placing Lincoln's dignified profile on the obverse. By 1949, this design had already been in circulation for 4 decades and had become one of the most recognizable coins in American pockets. On the front of the 1949 S penny, Abraham Lincoln faces to the right, his expression calm and thoughtful. Above his head appears the word liberty, representing freedom and democratic values. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the date, 1949, marking the year this coin was struck. Just below the date is the small but important S mint mark, showing that the coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint. Behind Lincoln's shoulder appears the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto that reflected the spiritual and moral beliefs of the nation, especially meaningful during the early Cold War era. The reverse side of the coin features 2 wheat ears curving along the left and right edges. These wheat stalks symbolize agriculture, abundance, and prosperity. Between them are the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. At the top is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, emphasizing national unity. This wheat reverse design remained in use until 1958, making the 1949 S part of the final decade of the wheat penny era. The San Francisco Mint played a crucial role in U.S. coin production, especially for West Coast circulation. In 1949, the San Francisco Mint produced approximately 64 million Lincoln wheat pennies. While this might sound like a large number, many of these coins were heavily circulated. Post-war America relied on coins for daily commerce, and pennies passed through countless hands, shops, and businesses. As a result, well-preserved examples are much harder to find today. The year 1949 itself holds historical importance. The United States was transitioning from wartime production to a peacetime economy. Soldiers had returned home, industries were expanding, and consumer goods were once again widely available. It was also the beginning of the Cold War, with growing tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. In this climate, Coins like the 1949 penny were everyday objects that connected ordinary Americans to a stable national identity during uncertain times. The 1949 Lincoln wheat penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This copper content gives the coin its warm reddish-brown color. Unlike steel cents made during World War II in 1943, the 1949 penny returned to the traditional copper composition, symbolizing a return to normalcy after wartime shortages. From a collector's point of view, the value of the 1949 wheat penny depends greatly on its condition. Coins that were heavily used often show wear on Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jaw, as well as flattening of the wheat stalks on the reverse. These circulated examples are common and usually valued modestly. However, coins that were saved early and remain in higher grades can be significantly more desirable. Uncirculated or mint-state examples of the 1949 penny show sharp details, full wheat lines, and original mint luster. These coins were often stored in rolls or collections and never entered daily circulation. Because San Francisco mint coins were often used heavily in commerce, truly high-grade examples are scarcer than those from some other mints, making them more attractive to collectors. The phrase "Liberty of America" is deeply connected to the symbolism of this coin. Abraham Lincoln represents unity, equality, and the preservation of the nation. His presence on the 1-cent coin reminded Americans every day of the sacrifices made to keep the country free. In 1949, just a few years after the end of World War II, this message carried strong emotional weight. The wheat penny series as a whole is beloved by collectors because it bridges old and modern America. The 1949 coin sits near the end of this historic design, just 9 years before the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced the wheat ears in 1959. This makes it part of the closing chapter of a long and iconic era in U.S. coinage. Today, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny remains popular among both beginner and experienced collectors. It is often found in inherited collections, old jars, and family keepsakes. While it may not always be rare, its historical significance, classic design, and connection to post-war America give it lasting appeal. Holding a 1949 wheat penny is like holding a small piece of American history. It represents a nation moving forward, rebuilding, and reaffirming its values. From the copper it was made of to the words and symbols stamped into its surface, this coin tells a story of liberty, unity, and everyday life in mid-20th century America. For collectors, historians, and coin enthusiasts alike, the Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny of 1949 with the mint mark is more than just spare change. It is a reminder that even the smallest coins can carry powerful stories, connecting the past to the present through the hands of millions of people across generations.